Hello, today is July 20th, 2024, and today is the 80th anniversary of my uncle, Sarion Magnus Einarsson, who was killed in action on Juno Beach on July 20th, 1944. There is a picture of him in the upper right hand corner. I didn't know him personally, but all of those who did, there he is, killed in action on Juno Beach in the Battle of Verrees Ridge. And the Battle of Verrees Ridge was a notable one. Sarion there is pictured there, was in the South Saskatchewan Regiment, based out of Weyburn, Saskatchewan. And the Battle of Verrees Ridge, almost the entire South Saskatchewan Regiment was wiped out because of the intensity of the battle. He was in the infantry and only carried a rifle up the hill at Verrees Ridge with German embattments and kind of protected areas shooting down from up above. The battle of Verrees Ridge is a documented battle because of the fact of the number of casualties on that day, and it is in a document that can be looked at online. It's called The Ponds of War, written by a fellow, I think he was in the military, by the last name of Edmondson. There was a huge investigation because of the lives that were lost in that battle, and so if you care to read that, you're most welcome to go and take a look at it. And over there on the left, right there, is a gravestone that was originally put up in France, and the markings on that gravestone are July 20th, 1944, killed in action just off Juno Beach, south of Caen, in the Battle of Verrees Ridge. There's a picture of him before he went off to war. I believe that that's him on the far left, dreaming on the lakeshore of the life that was in front of him and all the possibilities that existed in life. Two of his brothers sitting beside him, and I have been to these places along Red Deer Point and on the lakeshore where he grew up. So I'll just back off a little bit from this picture. And there down below is my dad on the left side. He was also in the Second World War. And my dad at the bottom, and Jan's dad on the right hand side, and a picture of his war years. Both our dads returned home from fighting overseas. We actually got to grow up and live with our parents, with a parent who they were both in the war and survived, and that's why we are here today, I guess, and whatnot. And so at the age that my wife and I are at today, we actually grew up with two parents, and there they are pictured there, two parents who actually were in World War II. We do a lot of sales of a book that we wrote about my dad, D-Day at and Beyond, and it's one of our best-selling books. We sell at the Canadian Forces Base Shiloh on a regular basis, and that book is in its third printing right now. Now I want to show you and go up to a picture here that our son Victor did. Okay, and it shows 75 years now, and and there's a poem that I wrote, but he did the picture depicting what he imagined the landing at Juno Beach to be like. And over there on the left side is an indicator of one of the markers that we put together for the 80th anniversary of the Juno Beach landing, where X number of soldiers died just taking the beachhead, but then thousands of soldiers came in after with all kinds of equipment, worked their way up in these months of July, August, September, well into the next year. I believe it was in May 1945, when the war was finally over and victory was declared in Europe. So So we'll just back that off a bit from now, 75 years ago back then. So we have these memorials in our house in 2 or 3 different locations, and we will not forget what our dads have done in the war, and we will not forget what Sarion Magnus Einarsson has done and given his life in the service for his country. And I am named after him, and so is our son Victor, who carries the name of both uncles. Victor Einarsson, as well as the name Sarion, is in his name as well. So I'll move on to a different section of the house and show you a few more things here about this important time. Definitely an important time in Canadian life, an important time in our lives, and not to be soon or easily forgotten. Here is a picture of a larger memorial that is downstairs in our home right now, and it is showing more pictures and more things from the war, and specifically the soldiers who were killed in the Second World War. They have a lake in Manitoba named after them, and here is a certificate showing where Einarsson Lake is in northern Manitoba, named after my uncle, pictured there in that picture right there, who was killed in action on Juno Beach at the Battle of Verrières Ridge in the Second World War. Other documents, this document is a letter actually signed by the Department of Defense at the time, spelling out to my grandmother, Sarion's mother, actually about the moving of his body from one cemetery to the other. And over here is a poem that is written by one of his uncles, a poem written, it's called Farewell Soldier, and it was written by him because at the post office in Winnipegosis, when a letter came in that Sarion had been killed in action, what happened was that the fellow who also was a relative of ours and learned about that went over with another person to my grandmother's house to break the news to her. And very, very sad, but that's what happens. The world has always been at war from day one. There's a picture of my dad with his war medals on, and my dad there again. And the picture of Sarion right there. It's very, very sad indeed, because the world has been in a state of war. Country fighting against country, nation fighting against nation, tribal groups fighting, ever since the beginning of time, and not willing to find ways of peace at all. And so much dependent upon the people who actually lead these countries and direct them. Very, very sad state of affairs today for Canada, knowing that our soldiers fought in the Second World War for freedom in Canada, and yet today we do not have the free country that we should have because of the sacrifice of these soldiers. And right now I want to move to a different section here, so just be with me for a few minutes, and I'm going to just switch this around. And so these are memorials that we've set up in our house that are before us day by day, so that we're not going to forget. We don't want to forget. We don't want to forget the sacrifice of Sarion there, because today is July the 20th, 2024, and he was killed in action on Juno Beach, July 20th, 1944, 80 years ago as of today. Now here's just something special to show you. This is a little box that was given to me right here, pictured here with Sarion's name on it, and a little pocket knife that did belong to him. So at the bottom, and this is probably his handwriting, Sarion Einarsson, down below there, a little pocket knife that belonged to him. And over here is a autograph book. And autograph books were something that was common way back in time, But here is an autograph written, Dear Sarion, Beaver Lake Road, Flin Flon, Manitoba, November 13th, 1942. And I'm just going to read the poem because this was from his girlfriend. And I'm sure that they would have been writing letters back and forth, and here's what it says. Dear Sarion, as you travel the hills of the coming years, may you travel on high and never shift gears, with plenty of spark and never a knock, and a joy-filled station at every block. Sincerely, E. Thompson. And this lady's last name was Thompson, that he was obviously going with before he went overseas. And very, very sad, the number of letters that they must have shared back and forth, but never to see this dream fulfilled. Very, very sad indeed. And our troops today are still called. My dad left me 38 pages of handwritten notes, from the war, from his experience at the war, in the war. And my wife and I put together a book called Dad at D-Day and Beyond, and we sell basically at Camp Shiloh Military Base, just not too far away, just east of Brandon, Manitoba, where we sell that book and talk to soldiers. And the book is in the 3rd printing right now, and so that's one of the things we do. We just live north, a little ways north of Shiloh Military Base, so sometimes we hear the guns going off and things like that. But we do need always a strong military, and so our honor goes out to the soldiers that fought and died for our country years ago. And we think about the soldiers and the sacrifice and the commitment that they put to this very day to serve us in capacities that we would not necessarily or normally want to serve in ourselves. So I'll just close off this segment, that is going to be appearing on YouTube. 8 Eagles Gather, flowers, blossoms, flowers on a branch that we put down in a special room downstairs in our home in honor of our dads and Sarion, Magnus Einarsson, who gave his life in the service of his country, and I carry his name, and so does our son Victor. Carries the name of 2 uncles, Victor, and his middle name is Sarion, after our uncle who served his country and died on Juno Beach in the Second World War in the battle for Verriers Ridge, July 20th, 1944, till today, July 20th, 2024, 80 years ago. We will remember, we will never forget, and none of us ever should, and history lessons should be taught in schools to this very day, giving honor to the soldiers and the sacrifice that they paid for this country.